just got in or out of training jujitsu, and I just wanted to talk about this topic. You know, we had this on the books of should I go to a boot camp or should I study on my own? What's the pros? What's the cons? There's a lot of people wondering this. I already know I speak to people every single day, and they're trying to decide. Like, I've been teaching myself for a couple months now. I don't really know what I'm doing. It's not really getting me to where I really want to be. Uh, and it's hard. I feel like I'm going, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, and I keep trying to do something, and it's not really panning out the way that I'm anticipating it would pan out. But boot camps are very expensive, and I see that price of $17,000, $20,000, and I don't know. I don't have that right now. I can't afford that, and I don't want to pay off. I don't want to pay off a loan, right? I don't want to have a loan. I already got student debt from college, or what I got bills, mortgage, house, car note, whatever, rent, and I don't know if I could afford that. All right. So what's the best situation? And then not to mention boot camps are it's like drinking from a fire hose. It's super fast. So these are some of the things that we're going to discuss during this time to really figure out whether or not you should be going to a boot camp, whether or not you should be studying on your own. Now, let's talk about the pros of both. Let's talk about the pros first of boot camps. The pro of boot camp is you're going to have an expert. You're going to have, I want to use expert kind of loosely. You're going to have somebody that's knowledgeable about what it is that you're trying to learn, right? They're going to have a curriculum in place. They're going to have a structure for you to be able to go through and know that, what you're doing is going to be right or what you're doing is going to be wrong. They're going to be able to give you some type of feedback on that, right? So the other the other pro is that you're going to have a lot of classmates, right? You're going to have people in the course with you that are going through the programs with you, that are going through similar struggles, or maybe they might be able to actually help you out, right? They might be able to help guide you and make sure what you're doing is right, because they just went and they just learned that and they struggled with that, right? So they overcame it, so they might be able to explain it to you in a way that maybe your instructor couldn't. So there's that. There's that. You probably have some group projects. Those are the pros to a boot camp. So basically, instruction and a community. Let's look at the pros of self-studying. There's no immediate dent on your pocket, right? Your pocket is going to be relatively untouched. Yeah, that's it. I mean, that really, if we're talking about pros of self-studying, that's really it. It's honestly it's the cheap method. It's just you being cheap. Let's call a spade a spade. That was me. When I was going through, I was just being cheap. I didn't want to spend money. I didn't want to spend thousands of dollars to get in the industry, and I ended up getting into the industry, of course. But there's a whole bunch of ways to do it. Now let's look. So a con for what is it? A con for boot camps would be the cost of it being so expensive. The other con is that there's going to be so many people. I know this was a pro, but this is also a con that there's going to be so many people in the boot camp in the course that you're not going to be able to get that one-on-one attention that you're going to be looking for, right? You're going to want to ask the instructor for some help. You're going to want it's just gonna be inevitable. Like it's going to happen. You're gonna get stuck. You're gonna want to help. But if you got 20 other people in the boot camp with you, some of these boot camps I've heard are like you go on a Zoom call, and it's 100 people. You go in some situation like that. It don't matter how much time you're spending on the call. You're not gonna get the help that you need. So that is a negative. That is a con, for sure, absolutely. And you're spending money to be in that type of situation, right? So you're not getting direct access, which is something if you're paying that much money you might want, right? So I definitely hear you there. What about self-studying? What are some of the cons, right? So it's great. You don't have to. You're not really spending money, right? You're not like losing tens and tens of thousands of dollars, or are you? Are you potentially losing tens of thousands of dollars by not going to the boot camp? See, this is something that's not really talked about. It's something called opportunity cost, and I wasn't really sure what opportunity cost was until I became a teacher, a social studies teacher. I had to study for it. You got to study economics, and opportunity cost is basically how much you're paying or how much you're losing when you make a decision. So, for example, I'm gonna use this example right here with the boot camp. By self-studying, you're immediately saving $20,000, right, from not going to the boot camp. You're immediately saving $20,000. You're teaching yourself. However, because you're not paying for help, it's gonna take you longer because you don't know what you're doing. It's just spade is a spade, right? You don't know what you're doing. So because you don't know what you're doing, it's gonna take you obviously much longer. And if you think about it, when I was learning Korean, I learned that studying 1 hour with a native speaker is like studying 4 hours by myself. I'm saying that again. Studying 1 hour with a native speaker is like studying 4 hours by myself. Let's apply that same concept to software engineering. So me self-studying, it's gonna take me 4 times longer than if I had help by somebody who has already went through that process. It's gonna take me 4 times as long. So let's just say a perfect world, and we know the world isn't perfect, but in a perfect world, we go to a boot camp 3 months, we get a job. We get a job in 3 months, right, from the boot camp. We self-study, let's use that same logic of 4 hours, 4 times 3, that's a year, right? So a year. It's gonna take me a year to study by myself. Some people are like, oh, that's cool. Like, I'm not gonna worry about it, right? Because I saved $20,000 and I still got a job. Now let's look at the opportunity cost of this. So 3 months, you spend $20,000, you got a job. Let's just say for easy math, you got a job after 3 months making $100,000, right? Okay. You teach yourself, you get that same job a year, like after a year of teaching yourself for $100,000. Now, if you would have went to a boot camp, you would have made $100,000 what 9 months earlier. So that's a difference of $75,000. But you're like, wait, Dave, I spent $20,000 on the boot camp. Okay. So basically, what you're saying, $20,000 or $75,000 minus the 20 that you just paid for the boot camp, that brings it down to what? $55,000. You lost $55,000 in that year because you wanted to teach yourself, and that's in the perfect world, right? That's a perfect world. If you still self-studying for a year and doing everything right and getting a job, there's a lot of people who self-study and they go way beyond that year and they keep going. I know people who's been doing it for past 2 years, 3 years. So there's no guarantee, there's no perfect situation. Same with boot camps. There's no perfect situation, right? There's no perfect situation. However, your knowledge and your skills are going to be better regardless, as long as you get help. And a lot of people feel like they're wasting money. I would say this, and this is not me being like pro boot camps or anything. This is more of a mentality change that we need to have as just people in general, right? We're so willing to invest in the stock market. We're so willing to put $1,000 in the stock market for the year, and then at the end of the year, if we have like 4%, what is that? Like what, $40, right? Something like that, right? It's not a lot of money, okay? But we won't take that same concept and invest in ourselves. But the funny thing is, if we're making somewhere around $50,000, $40,000 a year, it would be in our best interest to invest as much money into ourselves and like to gain that knowledge, so that next year we'll make $80,000, double our income, $100,000, and to continue to build our skills. That small investment will pay off. The ROI will pay off drastically. But it's about how we look at it. A lot of people will be so willing to spend $100,000, $200,000 on college, easy. Why? Because you don't have to pay it right now. Right? Oh, it's 4 years later, it's 5 years later, I'm gonna have a job, I'll be able to pay it. And then what happens? You graduate college and you realize, like, oh, I'm not even doing that. So you let one wrong dictate what you're going to do in the future as well. This happens all the time. I'm guilty of it. Everybody's guilty of it. Everybody's guilty of it, right? Everybody. And we shouldn't do that. We should really look at it. Is this the best? What's the best for me in my future? How can I get to where I need to go? Now, if I need to do something quickly, then how can I get there as fast as possible? Right? If I'm struggling, and I've been struggling for a year or 2 years, I'm trying to feed my family, I'm trying to go on vacation, I'm trying to work from wherever I need to work, wherever I want to work from, but I'm not willing to invest in myself, then that means like I really don't want it. I really don't want it. Now, I say that. What's your option? Well, it depends on your situation. Because some boot camps do require you to be in a rigid type of schedule. They require you to quit sometimes, or you have to be like extremely consistent. So to the point where you can't do anything else for like months. Sometimes some of the programs, the part-time programs, are like 10 months, a year. And life happens. Everybody knows life happens. You can't always be consistent, right? So then it's like, all right, well, can I do that? Like, what's the, like, I'm trying to figure out. Well, there's another way that nobody really talks about. There's a much more flexible way. You can get a mentor. You can get a coach. It doesn't have to be me. It could be anybody. You can get a coach, and that coach will guide you along, tell you what you need to focus on. Shoot, they might even teach you, depending on the coach, right? They might even have a curriculum in place to be able to guide you to where you need to be to make sure. And so they'll be able to tell you, like, look, Dave, you messing around, man. You mess around. You said in 3 months or 4 months or 5 months, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, whatever. You said that you want to be a software engineer. That's what you told me. But you're not doing the actions of somebody who wants to be a software engineer. That's valuable. That's extremely valuable because if you're self-studying, if you're teaching yourself, then you won't know that. Right? You won't know that. So when we boil it all down, what should you do? Well, that decision is up to you. What do I think you should do? I think you should get help. I went the self-taught route, and it's hard. It's doable. You definitely can do it. 100% can do it. But you got to be serious. If you're one of the people who can't put your phone to the side, put it on mute, flip it upside down, lock in, engage. If you can't do that, or you've been teaching yourself for 3, 4, 5 months and you're still on HTML, CSS, I'm gonna be real with you. It's probably best for you to reach out and get help because you should not be at that point after 3, 4 months. Shoot, you should be done with that after like 3, 4 weeks max, max, max. Right? Unless you're trying to perfect things, and if you're trying to perfect things, you're gonna be on HTML forever. You're gonna be on HTML forever because HTML is not even perfect. CSS is not perfect. JavaScript is not perfect. None of the programming languages are perfect. None of them. None of them. Doesn't matter what anybody tells you, right? So what I think you should do, if you're in your 30s or late 20s, 40s, 50s, and you got bills, you got responsibilities, you got kids, any of those, yes to any of those, you need to get somebody that knows what they're doing and is gonna guide you. Stop messing around. You don't got time to be playing like you played around in your early 20s. You played around and we're in the situation that we're in now, right? That's how I found myself. Teaching, doing DoorDash, Uber Eats. I was playing around in my early 20s and that's where I was. I was teaching abroad and everything like that. Came back to the States teaching, but it still wasn't enough. So I had to figure it out. But I tell you what, your life becomes much easier when you get help. It becomes much easier when you get help. There's a whole bunch of things, resources, everything for you to be able to do on your own, absolutely. But your life becomes easier when you get help. If you're in your early 20s, late teens, 18, 19, I recommend a boot camp for you, absolutely. If you're at your mom's house, or even if you're older, like mid 20s, whatever, you're at your parents' house, you don't got to worry about bills or anything like that. You don't got really any worries. Go to a boot camp for sure. Get that structure in place, that hard, rigid schedule, and go through it. It's gonna benefit you. But if you got responsibilities, get somebody to help you, guide you. That's going to be realistic with you, hold you accountable, and it's going to be aware of your situation and be flexible and help you out. Well, now if you listened here and you made it this far and you're curious, like, dang, how do I get started? Everything is so like it's so overwhelming and so chaotic. Like, I kind of want to at least teach myself a little bit before I go out and reach help, get some help. Well, we got a free roadmap for you I got a free roadmap for you that's gonna just guide you from week one all the way up to week 12. If you want to customize it, you can customize it. It's flexible around your schedule, of course, but it's just going to give you a structure, a guide to help you navigate the waters, right? It's going to help you. It's going to help make sure that what you need to do is right there. There's no thinking. It's no thinking. It's just doing. Makes it much easier, right? It's free. You don't got to pay anything for it. Just download it. Get the help that you need, okay? And have a great life, right? All right, guys, have a good night. We're not going to be doing a live tomorrow. We're going to be doing a live on Friday, though, right? And it's going to be a good one, so make sure you tune in. I'll see you guys. Deuces.